Kia ora whānau. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Hey, my name is Simon. I'm a Thermomix consultant based out in West Auckland. And I'm doing something a little bit unusual today, and I thought I'd take you guys along for the ride. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to cook a cake that's called the spiced apple and feijoa cake. Except it's not a Thermomix recipe. So what it is, it's a recipe that's from a website called The Beauty Foodie. I recently joined a feijoa appreciation Facebook page, and this is one of the recipes that people put up. So what I have done, I have printed out the recipe, and I am going to convert that into a Thermomix friendly one. So I've never made this cake before. Hey guys, thanks for joining me. I've never made this cake before, and I'm going to take you through how I take a recipe to make it Thermomix friendly. So one of the best things I find you can do when you're converting a recipe is have a pen handy, so as you're doing the ingredients you can cross them off. Because when we make things Thermomix friendly, we sometimes reorder the steps. So for example, in one of the last steps of the recipe, it talks about adding a teaspoon of fresh ginger. I'm going to make that the first step because what I'm going to do is chop down my fresh ginger. So I don't know about you guys, but I store my ginger like this. So I buy my big piece of root ginger and I chop it into varying sizes. And then if I need some ginger, all I do is pull out a size that's roughly what I'm after and throw it in the Thermomix. So again, I'm going to do this out of order. So the very first step of this recipe is to grease and line a cake tin, which I have done in order. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grate my piece of fresh ginger down. So it says it wants a 1 teaspoon of fresh ginger grated. So I don't know how big a piece I'm going to need, but I quite like ginger. So I'm going to take a couple of pieces out. And you'll see I don't peel my ginger. The skin is where a lot of the flavour and nutrition comes from. So I'm going to drop my ginger into my bowl. And then I'm just going to manually chop this down. So because I want quite a fine chop, I'm going to go for about, I'll give it 5 seconds at speed number 7. Now, it will get loud because we are chopping a frozen product, so I'm not going to bother talking. So if you haven't used your Thermomix manually yet, I'm going to touch the time, turn it on to 5 seconds, touch the blade, and off we go to speed number 7. Here we go. Oh, and let's have a look and see how finely chopped our ginger is. Because it does say in the recipe, oh, look at that. What do you reckon? Oh, it smells amazing. I think I possibly got more than the 1 teaspoon that the recipe calls for, but that's okay. So I'm just going to scrape that down, and I might just give that one more chop. I've just got a couple of biggish pieces in there. So I'm going to go to speed number 10 this time. And I think that should do us. Oh, yep, that's much better. Now I've got a much finer chop. So now I've got my fresh ginger prepped. I'm now going to carry on with the rest of the recipe. So the next step of the recipe is to add 125 grams of butter, melt it down. So I've already pre-weighed my butter, so I've got 125, and that goes. And I'm not sure why we melt the butter down, but because I've not made this recipe before, I'm just going to roughly follow its steps. So I'm going to melt my butter for, I'm going to give it about 1.5 minutes, and I'm going to go to about 65 degrees on a speed 1, so just enough to get the butter turning. Now, in the recipe, if you look at the recipe on the website, it says that you use 5 feijoas, but the flesh only, so not the skins. So we know as Thermomix owners, we like to keep things whole. So what I've done for my feijoas, I have got some feijoas that I was given, and all I did was I chopped them up into big pieces, topped and tailed them and scrubbed them, and then froze them. So instead of using 5 feijoas, just the insides, I'm going to use 3 feijoas, but I'm going to include the skins. So I think the skins have got a really, really nice texture and flavour to them. So I'm hoping that's going to be about the same amount of feijoa on this. Hey guys, thanks for joining me. So what we're doing today, we're taking a non-Thermomix recipe, which is the Beauty Foodies spiced apple and feijoa cake, and we're going to make it in the Thermomix by doing some manual cooking. If you do want to make this cake, in the Facebook event, I have added a link to the recipe. It looks amazing, it sounds amazing, and I cannot wait to see what it turns out like. Okay, so our butter is now completely melted. Ginger butter. So there's our butter, nicely done. Are any of you guys doing a cook along with me? Would love to know. So the next part of the recipe is we're going to place the grated apple and feijoa into the bowl. Now, as you already know, my feijoa is in big pieces with the skin. So we're going to chop it straight in. And my apple, I've just got a Granny Smith apple here cut into quarters. So in that's going to go. And we're going to chop this up. I reckon we'll try speed 5. We'll give it maybe 4 to 5 seconds at speed 5, see what the chop is like, and then we'll go from there. So let's try 4 seconds, speed number 5. Now, if you want a rough chop, we typically recommend speed 3 or 4. Medium chop 5, 6, and a really fine chop is going to be about speed 7 to 8. Okay, so that's still a bit chunky. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it another few seconds. And we'll go to speed number 5 again. Let's have a look, see what we got. Hey you guys, hey Deb, hey Chelsea. Oh, that was a good shot, wasn't it? So what we've got there is some, it's kind of like a grated texture. I think what I might do is just give it one more chop, and just so we get them a little finer pieces. So that'll mean that what I've done is effectively about an 8-second chop at speed 5. So here we go, off to speed 5 again. And I think our texture is going to be about right now. Oh man, that's smelling amazing. Look at that, guys. Beautiful chop. How's that? And you'll notice that I actually used the skin on the apple as well. So the recipe says, well, it doesn't actually say, oh, it does say peeled, but you know, the skin's where the flavour is. So this is where we're going to go. So into this, following our manual cooking recipe. And again, what I'm doing is as I'm going through the recipe, I'm ticking off the steps just to make sure I don't miss any ingredients out. So we've got the butter, we've got the apple, we've got the feijoas. We've got the fresh ginger. Now we're going to add, sprinkle over the brown sugar. Okay, so we have got 1 cup of brown sugar. Now, because the recipe is in cups, we don't need to go into the scales. So I'm actually going to use a real cup measurement. I know this is going to shock most of you, because normally I'm a loose and wild guy. But because this is my first time cooking it, I am going to use an actual cup measurement. So in we go. It doesn't say whether it's loosely packed or tightly packed. So I reckon that's about right. So that's 1 cup of brown sugar, and that goes. And it says to mix well. So if we're going to mix it well, and we don't want to continue chopping the fruit up, what I would recommend you do is run the blade in reverse. So I'm going to set my timer. I'm going to give it 10 seconds. Now you see under the blade speed, you've got the little picture of the blade. Now if you push that button, it turns into a reverse arrow. So that means that we're going to stir with the back side of the blade, so not the cutting edge. Hey guys, hi Shelley and Sarah. Nice to have you guys join me. So we're going to run this for 10 seconds. I'm going to go reverse speed. I'm going to try reverse speed 4 and we'll just see what it comes like. What we want to do is get that brown sugar nicely mixed in with our fruit. Here we go. And we are done. How quick was that? I'll show you what we got. How was that? That was quite literally 2 seconds reverse speed 4. So now we've got all our butter, our feijoa, our apple, our brown sugar and our ginger all sitting in the cake mix. Oh, that smells amazing already. So what we're doing today, Shelley, I've got a recipe from the Beauty Foodie, which I printed out from the internet. It's a spiced apple and feijoa cake. And I'm just taking you guys how I would cook this recipe and how I would translate into something that's Thermomix friendly. Okay, so I've ticked off my 1 cup of brown sugar. The next step is add both eggs and ginger. The ginger's already in there because we chopped that to start off with. So, and we're going to go with our 2 eggs. Just like that. And then we're going to mix that together. So again, I'm going to go in reverse speed 4 for just a few seconds. It doesn't take very long at all. I think that's done it. And if you guys need a hand converting recipes, like if you've got those old family recipes that you think, I really wish I could make this in the Thermomix, reach out to your consultant. We're here to help and support you, but just be prepared if it's a really good recipe, we may ask for a copy, so just keep that in mind. So into this now, following the recipe, we are going to add in 2 cups of flour. This is where things could get a little bit messy, guys, but that's all right. I know you bear with me. I'm real cooking here. If they had the weight of the flour, of course, we'd pop into the Thermomix, we'd go into the scales, and we just weigh it straight in. But we don't have that luxury with this recipe. So it's 2 cups of flour, 1 cup. And I always use high-grade flour. So high-grade flour's got a little extra protein and gluten in it. So it just means that your cakes and your bread have a nicer texture. So I use high-grade flour for absolutely everything I do. So there's our 2nd cup of flour going in. Next step in the recipe, we are going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Oh, Shelley, yeah. So because the TM6 is on run out at the moment, not only do you get 36 months interest free, you also get over $1,000 worth of a gift with purchase. So pretty much everything that you can attach to with your Thermomix comes with it. So you get the spiralizer, the cutter, the glider board. You get an additional 12 months of cockadoo access. You get your blade cover peeler, and you even get a second bowl. So it is just a phenomenal time to grab a TM6. Tell you what, just so good out there. And of course we are in run out because the TM7 has been announced, and we're expecting the first shipment of TM7s to hit New Zealand. They say around early June. But yeah, if you do want to pre-order, reach out to your consultant. They are $2,849 and full payment is required up front, but you will be one of the first in the country to get a new TM7. They look amazing. I have had a play with one for, I think for a couple of hours the other day. They are really good. Just mind-blowingly good. Anyway, I digress. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm going to add a big teaspoon. And we're going to add, the recipe calls for 1.5 teaspoons of mixed spice. You can substitute it with some cinnamon. However, what I'm going to do is put in 2 teaspoons of mixed spice, because I tend to find that the cakes are a little bit, when it says spicy, they're not so spicy. So 2 teaspoons. So I'm just taking my ingredients as they go. Flour, baking powder, mixed spice, baking soda, mixed spice, ground almonds. So, don't tell me off, guys, because I know I'm going to get it in the neck from you all. But I actually bought some ground almonds, or almond meal. I would normally make it myself, but yeah, I just walked in the supermarket and ground almonds. I thought I'll just grab those. But yeah, by all means, make it yourself, guys. It's so easy to do. So in here, we're doing 1 cup of ground almonds. So in goes our 1 cup of ground almonds. And it says now that we need to stir everything until well combined. Now it says in the notes, don't overmix it. So I'm going to be a little bit reserved with this. So I'm just going to put my lid on. I'm going to run in reverse speed 4, just for a few seconds, have a look and see what it looks like. So we're still in reverse. Off we go to speed 4. Oh, and we're almost done. How easy was that? So we're just going to scrape that down. So I had that running for about 4 seconds, and pretty much most of it's brought together now. So what I'm going to do is just give it a quick stir, just to mix that last bit up, because I'm really not trying to overbeat it. Yum. This smells amazing. It is quite a thick mixture, in case you haven't seen. It's not like a like a runny cake mixture. So I'm just double checking. We've got 125 grams of butter, 1 green apple, 5 feijoas. I've used 3 with skins on. 1 cup of brown sugar, 2 eggs, 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of ground almonds, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of mixed spice, and we've got our 1 teaspoon of fresh ginger, which we milled down as part of the first step. So all that's left to do now is to put it into our cake tin. So I've got my oven preheating to 180 degrees, and we are just going to drop this into here. Well, this is quite a dense mixture, but it smells amazing. Now, you guys don't need me to talk to you about my top tip for clearing dough off the blades. But I'll do it anyway. So we've got a lot of dough left on our blades. We don't want to miss that. So we're going to drop our bowl on, put the lid on, and we're going to run it just for a few seconds at a high speed, like 8 or above. And that's all it takes, and that will flick all the dough that's sitting on your Thermomix blades off to the side, so you can get them out nice and easy. So you see what we got there is a clean blade, and all our dough is now flipped off to the side. Now this is quite a dense cake, so it says in the instructions to cook it for 35 to 40 minutes. But I am going to use my Thermomix sensor. But if you don't have a sensor, you can use the skewer in the middle of the cake. Oh, yum. This smells amazing. It is quite a dense cake. It's not your typical cake mixture texture. So there it is there. So what I am going to do, I'll quickly take you guys through how to use the sensor. But as I said, if you don't have a sensor, just use the skewer in the middle of the cake method. If it comes out clean, you know it's cooked. Hi, Kelly. Okay, so I've got my sensor. So, clean your finger, Simon. There's some feijoa on it. So what I'm going to do with my Thermomix is touch the little down arrow at the very top of the screen. And I am going to go into the last section which says Thermomix sensor. So I touch that. And now I'm going to remove my sensor from the charger, and that's what activates it and gets it talking to the Thermomix. So it should come up and say, hopefully it's found it. So it's come up and said connected. So now it's asking me, what am I cooking? So if I touch the temperature and it pops in and says, what are you doing? I'm going to choose cake. And I am going to do probably a rich cake, because a rich cake tends to be quite denser and more moist. Hi, Viv. So I'm going to touch rich cake and pound cakes. And it's saying that the interior of the cake should be at 99 degrees when it's cooked. So, okay, we'll give that a go. So I'm going to click send. So it sent the instructions to it. So now all I have to do is on the bottom of here, I've got my little silicone holder. And I'm going to put my sensor through one of the holes just like that. And I'm just going to stick it on the edge of the cake tin. So it's just like that. So what the sensor will do for me, when the cake is cooked, it will send a message to my Thermomix and say, your cake is cooked, take it out of the oven. So I'm going to do OK. And it's telling me the interior of my cake is currently 22, so it needs to do a lot of cooking. Anyway, guys, I'm going to drop this in the oven. If you do have any questions about converting recipes, please yell. And I'll put a picture up of my finished cake when it's done. But yeah, it smells amazing. I hope it tastes as good as it looks. Have a great day, guys. And yeah, come back to my page and I'll put a picture of my finished cake. See you later. Bye-bye.